here's
No, that's not the no. No.
Let me
You
finish
don't
my
consider it a
story.
science. You go to therapy.
Bro,
You don't.
we're
It's not a
only in
science
middle
experiment.
school. Let
You
me
go to
get to
therapy.
high
They go to
school.
therapy.
Other than the typical brains of modern 20-year-olds in their 20s,
What are those?
like anxious thoughts, comparison, social media, all these things are getting into our heads and causing a little bit of extra anxiety.
Able to achieve something, for me, that all stems from, why you decide to exist. And for me, I'm of the opinion that I can choose what my meaning is. So as long as I'm taking actionable steps towards that, I'm taking actionable steps toward that. So, meh. There's a problem that comes up, it's a future me problem. In terms of the biological stuff, I suppose I kind of like grew up in an environment where I never particularly felt safe. So having the science of it, the long-term cortisol kind of stunts that. You get a kind of accustomed response. Not as far as learned helplessness that you induce in animal models, but an equivalent of that. So it takes a lot for a fear response of any significant effect. Because for me, I operate best in emergency situations.
Somebody had a good line about not fearing dying because you were dead all the way up to your birth. You were not alive all the way up to your birth.
Religion is to alleviate that fear of death and how that's gone all the way through history. And so to me, I think that's the fear that has permeated our culture, our species, the fear of death, and what it's led to. Okay, and it makes me think about the animals who I think don't have the kind of fear of existential death. In other words, we can project about what's beyond death, and so that causes us to fear because we don't understand what's beyond there.
Fear that someday I'll lose my boyish good looks.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, I'm worried about it. No, I've been told that. We're worried about these days.
My psychological fears are all based on kind of mythical things. Like I was like 5 years old and I remember this dream I had. 5 years old. This woman, beautiful woman like Galadriel in Lord of the Rings. She's wearing this diaphanous dress and she had a child on either side of her. She walked up to me and she goes, "I will visit you in sadness 3 times." That's all she said. And my mother and my father have died. That was sad, I guess. But I don't know what the third one's gonna be. I don't even know if those were the first 2. But I've been scared of that my whole life.
So this is not like a Sam thing. I'm not saying this in a Sam way, but have you been in therapy?
Yeah, it's not very productive because then the process I did.
Well, did you tell the truth?
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, I considered it a science experiment, but here's
No, that's not the no. No.
Let me
You
finish
don't
my
consider it a
story.
science. You go to therapy.
Bro,
You don't.
we're
It's not a
only in
science
middle
experiment.
school. Let
You
me
go
get
to
to
therapy.
high
They go to therapy.
Buddy, we're in middle school. Let me get to the high school arc. Come on. All right, so
That's the silliest thing I've ever heard.
homework.
If you consider it a scientific experiment, then it's not therapy.
Can I get past middle school in
You
my
can go wherever you want. I'm just telling you the truth.
So then I was like, oh no, I'm not a person, I'm this personality I crafted. And then I learned about the science of it, and then I realized, oh, your intrusive thoughts aren't the thing that make you, it's the choices you make. Because you can't control the intrusive thoughts. That's just how the weird gooey stuff works. Some things go awry. But if I choose not to take it, that is a statement on the me, the self, right? And so through learning about that, I was able to say, oh, I chose these personality traits and I developed my personality, and because that was the active choice.